Okay, so question 16 is very much the same thing as the last two questions that we did, in that what we're actually asking you to do is really dig into documentation and try to figure out how the different functions provided by these modules work. So this question is asking us to use the Pythagorean theorem uh, to find the length of a hypotenuse of a right triangle. So Pythagorean theorem, if you don't remember, tells us that the length of the hypotenuse of a right triangle is related to the lengths of the other two sides. It's the square root of the sum of the two squares. Basically, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Everybody remembers this. It's like the one thing you will remember forever from your math classes, I am sure. So there is, in fact, a way to do this within the math module. We can find it very, very easily, but we need to actually dig into the module documentation to do so, which means that if you go to the Python documentation website at docs.python.org and you search for the math module, you can find the actual documentation for the math module, the math library of Python. And math comes with loads of extremely useful functions if you're going to be working with numbers. If you're going to be doing any kind of significant mathematical work, math includes a lot of special functions, a lot of constants that are going to help you out with more tricky math problems. And in fact, if we go down here to trigonometric, I'm not a math major, trigonometric functions in here, and that is where we will find the method that we need here, because finding the hypotenuse of a right triangle is technically trigonometry. So let's see here, we got the arc cosine of x, the arc sine of x, the arc tangent of x, which is not what we want. The cosine of x is no good, not the sine, not the tangent, but instead the hypotenuse, which is the Euclidean norm, square root of x squared plus y squared, as the length of the vector from the origin to point x, y. That's very long and convoluted, and if you were looking for the Pythagorean theorem here, you may have instead went to Google and Googled Python math Pythagorean theorem, or Pythagorean or whatever. I encourage you to instead try to dive into the documentation to see if you can find in the docs first, before you go to Stack Overflow, before you go to Google, because the docs actually usually will help. Reading through those will help you get a better sense of overall what is available to you. And so even if you didn't know that this was exactly what you were looking for, and you sat here and you read through each of these functions, eventually you come across here and find, oh, well, this is like the square root of the x and the y, and it's called hypot, which is short for hypotenuse. Eventually, maybe you would have figured out that that's what you need. So we need to use math.hypot in order to get x squared plus y squared and find the square root of that. So it's the equivalent of doing something like square root x squared plus y squared. Essentially, what's the same as, but for us, we can just call math.hypot and pass in the length of an x and a y, the length of one side and another side, and get the answer. So let's go ahead and do just that. Let's import math module, and then go ahead and we'll ask the user for the x and say x equals int input, and we could do float as well. Let's go ahead and cast it as a float. The float input, and ask the user for what is length of side 1. And we'll do the same. Y, we will ask the user for y, what is the length of side 2, and then we will go ahead and print out math.hot x should get us, save it if we run it, give it 3 and 4, it should give us 5. And that will work for anything at all. So if you are doing any sort of triangle here, we'll get the correct answer every single time. So I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that in the future, when you're looking for assistance on these things, you'll go to the documentation for the things that you're trying to use. There says theirs just went ahead and did the actual hard coding. We asked the user for the inputs, but either way, it's perfectly fine.